Good evening, everybody, and welcome to yet another live training session. The last live training for 2025. Of course, not for leave because we still have a few more months to go. But once again, a warm welcome to the eighth live training session of Leap 3.0. We are at 28 participants and we expect at least 70. So, this is cue for you to reach out to your team members and ask them to join in the next 5 minutes. Um, December means two things for me. One is, of course, my birthday, which I celebrated with all of you last week. But other thing is Christmas, and that's next week in another 7 days from now. And I thought, what can we do today? I thought we'll all draw a Christmas tree, but then I found it very difficult. I found giving clues to you very difficult, and I went back to an activity I had done in college, and it's called the mandala art drawing exercise. All right, so I want you to get a paper and a pen. And I'm going to share a few instructions with you. Let's all draw a mandala together, a mandala art together. All right. So I'm going to give you 10 seconds to quickly grab your pen and paper as I share my screen and read out to you or give you the instructions for this activity. All right. So I hope you have your piece of paper. And the first thing you need to do is draw a circle on it. All right. Draw a circle. I'll reveal to you five different shapes one at a time, and you'll have 30 seconds to draw that shape to add that to your mandala art. All right. You can use each shape creatively any number of times, but you have only 30 seconds to do it. And once 30 seconds is up, you shout out, once you are done, you can shout out mandalas. You can unmute yourself. All right. Don't overthink. Just let your creativity flow, and let's see the different 60 mandalas that we have at the end of this particular activity. So I hope you have drawn your circle. I'm not going to give you 30 seconds because it's simple. Your first shape is a triangle, right? So you have 30 seconds to draw as many number of triangles as you want for your mandala, right? 15 seconds up.
Mandala.
All right, I'm moving on because 30 seconds are up. You can use drops and spirals, use both of them to decorate your mandala. All
ఏదో
right, you have another
చల్లగా
15 more seconds,
చల్లగా తగులుతుంది ఏదో కారిందేమో అని
10 more seconds to complete this. All right, moving on. You can use any, either lines or lines and dot. All right, another 5 more seconds. Moving on,
Mandala.
you can use. All right, fantastic. So this is the last but one shape that you need to add. So any of the six, you can choose anything and add it to your mandala. Right, last 5 seconds.
Mandala.
And the last shape that you have to add are any of these six images that you can see. All right, last 10 seconds.
Mandala.
Okay.
Mandala.
Last five, four, three, two, one. All right, you can stop drawing right now and probably show it to everybody on screen what you have drawn. I do think the virtual background is
Virtual
covering it for
background
some of you.
inhibits you. Yeah.
All right, so what you can probably do is post it in your respective groups. And yes, I can see Jyotika, Lata, I saw Rosemi's, Bhavana, Bharadwaj, my God. Okay, Bharadwaj's Mandala looks surprising. Lata, Manoj, yes, fantastic. So share it in your group, and probably at the end of the meeting, I'll try and bring a surprise for all of you. All right. On that note, thank you so much for being so sportive. And it's time to lay down a few ground rules as we move on to the crux of this particular session. I hope you have joined from from a place of good internet connectivity. Your workbooks are open, and you're all set to dig deep into this particular session. Please be on mute. Some of you are still on, have not muted yourself. So please go ahead and mute yourself. Be on video so that this can be an engaging session for the trainer and for all of us. On that note, it's now time for me. Please do rename yourself with your Leap ID if you haven't. And with that, it's time for me to hand it over to somebody who's responsible for curating the entire Leap program, a Toastmaster for over 12 years. She has been responsible for chartering multiple clubs in District 121. And the best part is they're all unique, be it a debate club, a ladies' club, or even an evaluation club. Please put your hands together and welcome our beloved Leap 3.0 chair, distinguished Toastmaster Jyotika Shetty.
Thank you very much, Daryl. Thank you. Lovely activity, mandala. I have never drawn a mandala in my life, but thank you for exposing me to mandala art. Thank you very much, Daryl, for that beautiful start. A warm good evening, Leapers. How are we doing today?
Great. Great.
Better than yesterday.
You'll started. That is Pradyumna. You'll started grooving to that beautiful song, the beautiful beat, which is a rage. Now, I mean, it's been in my mind, and I thought, let me just share it with you. I hope you enjoyed it. Well, today is a brand new day, a brand new session, and there's a small story that I want you to take back to. That is 25 years back. As a family, we had gone out, we had gone on a trip to South India. I'm a South Indian, but we had gone to Madurai and a lot of other places. We had visited a temple in Madurai, and in that temple premises, there were a lot of monkeys. My eldest son, was barely 2 years old, and nobody warned us of anything. But as we went into the premises, we saw a lot of monkeys. I was holding my son tight, holding his hand, but in a fraction of a second, he just snapped my hand and went running towards the monkeys. There was a small monkey standing there, and he just stood in front of that monkey. Looking at this, the mother monkey, who was bigger than my son's height, imagine, came down from the tree thinking that my son came to harm her daughter or her kid, and came and stood in front of my son. I literally froze. I didn't know what to do. My legs were not moving, my hands were not moving, and the monkey was just watching my son, and my son also was just staring at the monkey. My bold and beautiful sister-in-law, my husband's sister, she had that presence of mind that time. She just grabbed a bag, she went running towards my son, just hit all the monkeys, pulled my son and brought him back to the group. And me, my legs were shaking. I didn't know how to respond to this. I was just in a shock. Till today, it's more than 25 years. Till today, I still feel that I should have done what my sister-in-law did, but nevertheless, my son was safe. Now, this was a situation that was unexpected, some sort of a crisis. We probably did not respond, we reacted, but whatever the reaction was, we got the results. But it was more emotionally driven. Everything was emotionally driven. Now imagine you're in a leadership position in an organizational framework, you have crisis, and if your decisions are emotionally driven, what could happen? Because that act what we did, that act what my sister-in-law did, also could have gone south, down south. We were already in south, but if it had gone south, it would have been disastrous. So in an organizational framework, we have to think carefully when there is a crisis situation. And that is exactly what we're going to learn today. And to do the honors, we have with us an individual who has been there, done it all, and gone through several experiences of crisis. To take us through this session today, we have with us Raghavan, a business leader who has hands-on experience in making smart decisions under challenging conditions. He is a leader focused on driving sustainable growth through people, process, and performance. He currently serves as president of Lucas Indian Service Limited, the aftermarket solutions arm of the Lucas TVS Group. A mechanical engineer from the College of Engineering, Guindy, Chennai, Raghavan is an alumnus of IIM Calcutta and Great Lakes. He is also a certified executive coach and a certified independent director empaneled with the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Government of India. With over 20 years of P&L leadership, he has led business turnarounds and transformation across oil and gas, automotive components, industrial consumables, and capital equipment, working across India, Southeast Asia, Africa, China, and Middle East and Europe. A strong proponent of technology-led transformation, Raghavan actively drives digital transformation, innovation, and process excellence. A practitioner of total quality management, he has worked closely with renowned Japanese sensei, Professor Washio, Dr. Yukihiro Ando, and Dr. Kano. Deeply committed to sustainability and ESG, he is IOD certified in ESG, an IICA certified ESG impact leader, a member of the National Association of Impact Leaders, and a fellow life member of the Institute of Directors, India. Raghavan is currently based in Chennai, where he lives with his family and is also an avid reader. Please unmute yourself and give him a huge, thunderous round of applause. And let's all welcome our facilitator for this evening, Mr. Raghavan N. Over to you, Raghavan.
Good evening. Am I audible?
Yes,
Yes.
you are.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Jyotika. It's a pleasure and privilege to be among the Toastmasters of District 121. And yes, I mean, your story about the monkey, the real life situation about monkey was quite appropriate and exciting for this particular session, because this session is all about the monkeys that we face every day. And many of the monkeys that we know, and many of the monkeys that come from the neighborhood, many of the monkeys that jump from somewhere else. So, how are we going to deal with that? And I think we had done some preliminary questionnaire, a survey, and I had received some responses. We'll be anyway be debriefing, but one of the things which stand out from the debrief from the questionnaire, the responses to the questionnaire, is almost 2/3 of the respondents have been facing crisis more often or on a daily basis. Okay, so therefore, I hope this session would be providing some insights into how to deal with decision making in such a situation. By no means I am an expert. I am still a learner. On a daily basis, we are all evolving. And I expect to learn as much as you would from this session, because many of you are entrepreneurs. Many of you are running businesses, either for a company or for yourselves. And there are research scholars and students. So this is a really diverse kind of a cohort, which I'm sure will bring in fairly diverse points of view about decision making. So what I have tried to put together is, I'm trying to create a method to this madness called decision making. So to help me in doing this, I have put together a presentation. I'm not a great fan of PowerPoint presentations, but since I can't do whiteboarding on a virtual basis, so I am kind of forced to use PowerPoint. So kindly bear with me for my PowerPoint. So can I go ahead and share, Jyotika?
Yes, Raghavan, please go ahead.
Hope my screen is visible and readable.
Yes, it is now. Yes.
Okay. So there are two parts to this. One is about decision making in a crisis situation, and the other one is about making smart decisions. So they are kind of interconnected. And nobody wants to make a dumb decision, whether it is a crisis situation or a normal situation. Everybody wants to make a smart decision. And there are many definitions of smart. So we will get into in a decision making framework. What do we mean by smart in a minute? But before that, I would like to debrief on the questionnaire that we circulated. Oops. How do I? The screen visible fully?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, okay. About two-thirds of the respondents face crisis every day or very often. And people from all walks of life have participated, student to research scholars and entrepreneur to professionals. And 7% of the respondents say that they tend to act immediately. As soon as some crisis happen, they want to act immediately, or they tend to act immediately. And 14% say that they step back and view a larger picture, and then they decide to act. And 63%, about two-thirds, say that they pause, reflect, and then act. And about 16% say that they seek others' inputs before deciding. Okay, so from the responses, what feel is there is a fairly mature set of respondents and mature set of audiences. So you would probably be able to connect better with some of the concepts which are being presented here, or you may even be practicing some of that. If something that you are already practicing, and if some of you would like to share any of your experiences, you may stop me in the middle, and we can hear from you as to how you have done that, so that it could be useful to others. Is that okay?
Yes, Raghavan.
Yeah. Thank you. So, why do we make decisions? Can anyone respond? Should we make decision at all? Why do we make decisions?
Um, we make decisions because someone has, oh,
Sorry, someone has?
can I speak?
Yeah, please.
Yeah, I'm so sorry. I kind of missed on the protocol. But you make decisions because that leads you to a specific path forward, right? When there is a lot of chaos, or when you do not know where the next step is going to be. So you take everyone's counsel and you make a decision. That's what decision is.
Okay.
Like, that's why we make decisions.
Okay. Now, I'm not saying either it is right, wrong, because there is no wrong answer here. So, I mean, somebody needs to help me understand who has raised the hands in order. So, I may not be able to administer that. Jyotika, I
All
need
right.
your.
I'll help, as well as there are some comments in the chat box. Do you want me to read it also later?
Sure, sure.
All right. So we'll go with first Lata Nahar.
Good evening, everybody. Now, why do we make decisions? Now, decisions is a tool what we use to understand what is the further progress, or what is the next step we need to take on the path what we want to walk on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bharadwaj.
So to understand the situation and to get the final result, final output, we need to take decisions.
Yeah.
Bhavna.
Yeah. So to reach our goal, there are more than one paths, either two or multiple. Out of those, what should we choose is why we make decisions.
Okay, thank you.
All right. And we have Sajid.
Yeah, my answer is also resonating with Bhavana. When we confront with multiple choices, we take decision.
Okay.
Sibaram.
Yeah, sometimes we create decision to protect or secure our, society and personal life. No, you need to do strong decision on that.
Karthik.
Okay.
So for me, decisions is like we make decisions consciously and also unconsciously, but then when we do it with consciousness, it's totally different output.
All right. And we have Ashima as well.
For me, decision is like uh, every day or a routine kind of a thing. I mean, we get up, we sleep, we are taking decision for something or the other at every moment. So it is up to us or to others whether it's a critical decision or non-critical. So for me, decision making is every minute decision.
Do you want me to read the responses, Raghavan?
Sure, if you can.
In the chat?
Thank
Yes.
you.
So Karunakar says for betterment. Madhavi says to make progress. Nitin again to progress further. Sharat Haradi says to select one out of many choices, alternatives available. Manasa says when we have multiple options to choose from. Rupa to get outcome. Sunil Kumar, when there are multiple paths to move forward, a choice is to be made, hence take the right decision. Shruti Bhatt says to test the risk taking capabilities. Aditya Patnaik says for progress and survival. And Barinder says from childhood, decisions are for curiosity, then reasons change. Over to you, Raghavan.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Jyotika. I think what it tells very clearly is we are taking decisions, whether voluntarily or involuntarily, and taking decisions is a must to move forward. And it's about making a choice. So without making a choice, you can't move forward. You will get stuck in one place, whether it is a personal decision or an organizational decision. Right. Okay. So who makes decisions? In an organizational setting, this is not on a personal basis. In an organizational setting, who do you think makes decisions?
Go ahead, Ashima.
Someone with the ultimate power.
Okay, so the someone with the ultimate power. Okay, then.
Lata.
It is the management who is responsible for the company's growth and who is responsible to answer to the stakeholders.
Aditya.
Anybody who is accountable for any process or decision takes the decision.
Akila.
It depends on the individual. There are few people who tries to take the decisions on their own, and there are few people who take decision in discussion with many other people.
Barinder.
Anyone who's with responsibility in an organization has to take a decision.
Some of them in the chat box also mentioned. What was that? Top management, highest authority in the situation, authorized person, senior management, anyone can base anyone based on the situation.
Okay. So let me ask a question. I mean, we take leave, don't we? Many of us who work, we decide to take leave, either a vacation planned or a sick leave or somebody else is not well, or just for the heck of it, we take leave. Is it a decision or not?
It is a decision at the individual level.
Yeah, that's right. So we are part of the organization, right?
Right.
So decision is taken by everybody in the organization, but the decision hierarchy changes. Who takes what decision is something different, but everybody takes decisions. Okay. So this is important because we need to understand this decision is not concentrated only with those who are interested with the well-being or the powers of the organization. The boss of the place may take a decision and somebody down the line may decide not to obey it. That is a decision as well, right? Right, wrong is different, but that is a decision, right? So, is it what you see on the screen? Is it familiar? Do you feel this way sometime or many times while making decisions? There are signposts says that lost, confused, unsure, unclear, perplexed, disoriented, bewildered. So do you undergo those kind of feelings and emotions or not at all? Very clear minded, and then you know exactly what to do and when to do, how to do, and therefore you take a decision. So
No, we will be, of course, going through a lot of emotions for sure, but then decision has to be made.
sure.
Output is not in our hands.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Then Lata, double hand as well.
These words, lost, confused, unsure, unclear, perplexed, disoriented, all leads to one single state of mind wherein you are not clear with your objectives, what with the reason why you're taking decision. So everything is pointing out to unclarity state of mind, wherein the input, as Karthik told, input is in our hand. Now, what comes out as an output of that decision is completely out of our hand, and when we know it can impact us, us as an individual, that is when these words make a lot of importance for us.
Yeah, let me tell you a very small story, real situation. So this is on a given day, I have to attend a board meeting, and that is a very important board meeting because I am the lone dissenting member of the board opposing an acquisition by the company whose board I am sitting. And Mr. Indigo decides to cancel some 400 flights that day. Okay. So I'm in Ahmedabad, and now I have to reach Bhubaneswar to attend the board meeting, and there is no direct flight. Even earlier, I had to go to Delhi and transfer, or I go to Calcutta and transfer. So I had chosen Delhi because Delhi is a bigger hub, and therefore my chances of getting delayed would be lower. And here I am in Ahmedabad. Mr. Indigo has cancelled all the flights from Ahmedabad, so I can't reach Delhi. And I'm sure from Delhi also many flights would have got cancelled, and no way I could reach Bhubaneswar. So I need to attend. And I had planned to attend the meeting in person, though there was an option to attend through a video call facility. Listed company already informed, and therefore the last minute change is not possible without reaching through the company secretary. None of them are going to be very pleased about me participating through video conferencing because I'm the lone dissenting member for an important decision that they think is good for the company. So I have to make a decision. Okay, and I mean, this is a cross country. So when I checked, I mean, I spoke to every possible airline counter in that airport, and Air India had an option. I could go to actually Bombay from Ahmedabad. So I decided I'll jump into it. Okay, so being a Maharaja Club member, I was not charged exorbitantly. Not 300%. I was charged only 275% more. Okay, so that was okay. So you go to Bombay, and from Bombay there was a flight available to go to not to Bhubaneswar but to Calcutta. Okay, so decided to take that as well, and I reached Calcutta, and the board meeting is the next day. Okay. Late in the night, got into a train. I have never heard the name of the train. I don't even remember the name of the train. And luckily got into a third AC compartment and reached Bhubaneswar on time. And I attended the board meeting. So to cut the long story short, I attended the board meeting. And only thing is I got stuck in Bhubaneswar royally and So decided instead of wasting time, would go to Puri and then enjoy the beach and Jagannath. So did that. Okay, so uh, the point here is to make the decision of the paying some 2.75 times more the flight charges in each sector, and then even getting into a train, okay, and reaching there. It wasn't an easy decision, even though I had decided that I need to be there, I need to be present in that particular meeting. But it could have been, I could have easily sent in a mail saying that this is some force majeure kind of a situation. I can't do anything. The airline company has cancelled and I have nothing to do. So I'm sorry, I can't attend. I was lost. I was confused. I was not sure whether I would be in a position to make a decision, not getting a flight, make a decision. And it was very unclear that what options were available to me. And that made me perplexed. And that perplexity made me disoriented. And I was also bewildered. All these are real. So when we are making some decision under pressure, all of these will happen whether we have clear mind or not. I had a very clear mind. I should reach Bhubaneswar on that DDMM YY. Okay, on that HHMM hours, I need to be there. But unfortunately, the extraneous circumstances push you to do things that you can't do, or you have to do differently. So, yes, we undergo all this. This is very, very important to keep in the back of our mind. So let's warm up before we get into the actual discussion on decision making and decision making under pressure. So many of us talked about leaders make decisions, and I'm not getting into the leadership aspect of it because you're all in Leap 3.0. And I'm sure you have many modules which have covered various aspects of leadership. So I'm not going to do anything redundant here. So I'm going to ask a question and then ask you to respond true or false. Leadership is about position and power. Do you think it is true or false?
False.
False.
Okay, anybody thinks it's true?
Yes.
Obviously
So
false, because that is what
so
we
we,
have learned to.
Lata Nahar says true.
Okay.
We also have, yeah, Lata Nahar says true.
Okay, so can Lata explain if her position about that?
See, why do people want to become leaders? I'm talking about the corporate setup here. I'm not talking about Toastmasters. When you're in a corporate setup, you want to become a leader because you want a position to tell that I am this in this position in this company. And with the position comes power. And with power, if you go on a right track, you groom others and make better leaders. But if you go in a negative way, you want to exercise your control or negativity over others. Now it depends on which kind of the power you're looking. But I believe that if you're looking at a leadership role, it is about position and power to a certain extent in every human being, because it gets associated with a lot of other traits also.
Okay, so leadership comes with the position, and that's called the positional power. And any position of power will offer, any position of leadership will offer some power. So that is again a positional power. But leadership is not all about position and power. It is also position, power, and service. So what value creation you really do? So this is important because at a later stage in our discussion, we will talk about it in decision-making context. The second question is, to influence others, we must have a formal authority over them. True or false?
False.
So how many think that it's true?
False.
Anybody thinks that it is true?
None in the chat box.
Okay.
All are false.
Great. A leader must have better knowledge than those she or he leads. Is it true or false?
True.
False.
So can the true camp explain themselves?
Yeah, so Bhavna says true. Lata also says true. I hope it's for the same question. Yeah. So I think Bhavna, please go ahead.
Yeah, a leader, only when he or she has the knowledge, he'll be able to, they'll be able to lead the team better. Otherwise, it is a kind of going behind the members that they are reporting to the leader.
Anybody from software industry here?
I am from software industry.
Okay. And are you a project manager or a program manager or a delivery lead or something?
Yeah, I'm a delivery lead.
Okay. As a delivery lead, do you know everything that you need to know about the product or service that you deliver?
No, Raghavan, I don't know. So I'll definitely read through it, but I don't have the deep knowledge. I'll seek out, reach out to help, ask for clarifications. I never feel ashamed to ask silly questions so that I know if that is a silly question for me, maybe somebody else also might have, which is they're scared to ask. So I reach to that position saying, I don't mind what others think. I'll ask all the questions and clarifications.
Assuming that you were leading a delivery of a project, okay, which involves, let's say, a very large existing ERP system, say, for example, SAP, maybe S4HANA or Oracle 21 or whatever. And then on top of it, you guys are delivering some ML AI based certain solutions, okay? The
Yes.
field itself is emerging.
Right.
And in most of those cases, the client doesn't know what he or she wants out of ML and AI.
Right.
And 90% of the companies do not exploit the ERP to the fullest of its potential, even without AI. And given all these landscape, okay, you are required to take decisions on a daily basis. Okay, you choose a tool, you choose a solution architecture, you choose a particular way of managing that program or a project and resourcing and all that. So these are key decisions in the delivery of that project, essentially because all these will have an impact on time to delivery and cost of the whole project as well. And yet you would not know 100% of what you are deciding on. This is a reality. So in most of the cases, okay, except in a very few, very small, very niche, very specialized areas where the leader is a person who's technically grounded, okay, or an entrepreneur who's running a very, very specialized business where the entrepreneur knows everything, okay. Except in those cases, many leaders today are faced with situation their teams together have a better knowledge than themselves. So, and yet the leader is required to take decisions which have a far reaching effect on the whole project or the company. So, this is the reality. Okay. So, I'm just raising these questions essentially because I want you to connect it to your own real life examples at workplace so that you will be able to appreciate what we are going to discuss in a few moments. We are warming up further. Leadership and decision making. Is the font readable? Because I'm not able to read it.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
we
it is
can.
good.
Okay. Maybe my lighting is a problem here. Okay. Uh, Good leaders take quick decisions. True or false?
False.
It depends on the situation.
Well, that depends is a very, very dangerous answer in any exam. Okay, so
In most of the cases, it's false.
okay. Delayed decisions are always bad. True or
False.
false?
False.
A
Okay.
delay, once again, a delay, it has to be measured. So if it is 1 minute, 5 minutes a day, a month, a year, so Depends on
I'm not talking about the eternity as a measure. Okay, this is something like maybe a few days, few weeks, depending on the situation. Again, I'm
Whatever may
using
be the
depending on
delayed
the
means delayed itself is very self-explanatory.
yeah. Okay, delayed decisions are always bad. True or false?
false.
False.
And corporate decisions are always made
False.
with data. Corporate decisions are always made with data. True or false?
False.
True.
I have to be
Many recent
brutally
news
honest.
say that the decisions are data driven nowadays with ML and AI. So recent days it is true.
In fact, I don't want to name the company. In fact, the CTO of that company and I had a bet. Actually, I had gone to seek his inputs on some best practices. So he was very proud in telling me that they are a healthcare service provider, and they had a homegrown AI based product which was very good and which was reducing a certain process time by almost 90%. Okay, which was directly impacting the customer satisfaction, improving the customer satisfaction by leaps and bounds, and in the process, improving the profitability of the business as well. So, as ever curious, I went up to him to understand what did they do. We are a non-competing industry, so he didn't have anything to lose by explaining this to me. So he told me that for about 5 years, they take decisions only based on data. Okay. So within about 15 minutes, through a series of questions, and we both were able to establish that not all decisions are data driven, and most decisions are taken intuitively, and later we use data to justify that. Okay. So the data-driven companies use data at least to justify that, and the non-data-driven companies probably still will continue to say that, okay, we have made the decision, we live with that. Okay. Intuitive decisions are often wrong. True or false?
False.
Okay. Anybody say true?
False.
Okay. All decisions are same. When I say not about the outcome, the way in which decisions are taken, all decisions are same. True or false?
False.
False.
Okay. All crises are the same. True or false?
Tough
I'm
question.
not talking about the type of
False.
crisis.
False.
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 Okay. 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 So let's get into some of the decisions that we make very often in a regular manner. There are two fundamental decision types that we make every day. One is a two-way door decision, very low impact, low consequences, cost of consequence is very low, and cost of wrong decision is very low and reversible. Now I can change my mind. I decided this is something like, okay, there is a party in the evening and we get dressed. Okay, instead of a shirt to t-shirt or a one dress to another dress, it's not going to be a earth-shattering kind of a decision, right? There is a one-way door decision, very high impact, very high consequence, and very high cost of wrong decision. Okay, so this is like the very reason that we go for a second opinion in a life-threatening healthcare or a Medicare situation is to avoid a wrong decision or to support or corroborate the thinking about a particular decision. And many a times these are irreversible decisions. So whichever decision, whether your decision to get married, your decision to name a child, whether your decision to put your child in a particular school, or your decision between one brand of soap and another brand of soap will fall into any of these two. or to take bath on a given day. It's a winter time, I don't want to, etc. So it falls in any one of these two types, right? How many of you have read or seen or heard about this book, Thinking Fast and Slow?
I've heard about it.
Heard about it. Okay, this is a very interesting book. And the man who has written it, Daniel Kahneman, actually is a psychologist. Okay. And he surprised the world and himself in 2002 when he was nominated for the Nobel Prize for economics. Okay. He's not an economist. Okay. He's a psychologist. He was a practicing psychologist, a multi PhD research scholar on human behavior. Based on his research work, the term behavioral finance has emerged. Okay. And in today's session, I am very liberally borrowing from this book and practice of this book, etc. I got introduced to this book in sometime in 2007. Not an easy book to read, and I had labored over that. And once I completed it and I understood the concepts, uh, it was really a groundbreaking kind of a thing. And my decision making, I would say, has changed. I don't know whether it has improved or deteriorated, but it has changed. Whether it is personal decisions or corporate decisions, it has definitely changed. So I'm going to, he proposes two kind of systems of thinking which are used in decision making. One is the fast thinking and another one is the slow, deliberate thinking. The fast is often emotional, automatic, and a very limited in scope. When you are taking a faster decision, you don't look at many variables. You don't spend enough time to make the decision, and therefore it is fast, and therefore it is limited in its scope as well. So we will be using the concepts of this in the further discussions. And I would very strongly urge, if you have not read this book, please do try to read this. One of the things that Kahneman, the name sounds a little odd, so I would rather use his first name. So Daniel, okay, otherwise I would make him a con man. So he's not a con man. Okay, so uh, see, there are biases. When we make decisions, there are many biases subconsciously or unconsciously which are in play. Okay, either in terms of the way we generate the alternatives, the way we look at data, the way we decide to decide. Okay, so there are many biases that come into play that we may not be aware. Okay, one is anchoring, that is falling in love with the first idea or a popular idea. Okay, so I've read a book recently, so I'm enamored by the author or the concept or both, and that will be playing very heavily in the back of my mind. And whatever idea that book proposes will be very appealing. And for a given situation, whether that idea would be workable as it is, or I need to modify that without even thinking if I try to use that, that's called the anchoring bias. The second is the availability bias. We make decision how? When we look at alternatives, we look at various things to choose from. That is a decision, right? So the decision is about I have a problem or an opportunity. So I decide how do I go about it. So that how part of it, I look at various alternatives which are available. Yeah. Information may be available over there, but am I looking for the right source for the information? So many a times what happens is, which is the recency effect. Okay, I've done something well, the recency of that, or the top of the mind recall, which I keep listening to, or I keep referring to, or I keep being told. So that is the availability bias. The third one is the hindsight bias. This is the dependence on precedences. It largely affects the legal profession because many a times you look at precedences to decide on certain things because the courts decide that way. So, but it can also affect other professions as well. Say, for example, somebody who's in a similar role for a very long time and have been making a decision in the same way year after year, month after month. When the circumstances change, they fail to notice the change in circumstances and therefore they still depend on the past ways of deciding. So that is the hindsight bias. The fourth one, which is the most important one, say, for example, if I ask you a question, there are two stocks in which you can invest. Okay, stock A and stock B. Okay. The stock A, if you invest some 100 rupees today, over a period of 20 years, it might become a lakh of rupees. Okay. In a period of about 20 years. Right. And there is a stock B, the same 100, right? It can become 40 lakhs in about a year. If it doesn't, you lose the 100. Is my question clear? A and B.
Yes.
A, you invest 100, forget it. 20 years later, you will get 20 lakhs. B, you invest 100, not 20 years. Next year, you are likely to get 40 lakhs. It is also possible that you lose the 100. Which do you think people would prefer to invest in?
So majority of the times they go with option B. But then it is always good to go with A.
Option A. Is there a different point of view? Okay, it's not 100. Let's say you need to put something like 10 lakhs today, and in about 5 years, you will make it into 20 lakhs. Okay. And the option B is you put 10 lakhs today, in 1 year, it can become 40 lakhs, or it can become zero. Now tell me, which one do you prefer?
Second one.
People
If
becoming
what
gamblers then.
Oh, yeah. I prefer option A.
The research shows that majority of the time, about 70% of the people would prefer option A. Okay. The reason is the loss of 10 lakhs looks bigger than the gain of 30 lakhs. So this is the loss aversion. This is one of the biases on which we make many of our decisions unconsciously. So then there is a conjunction fallacy, which is I try to connect two unconnected or unconnectable events or things and try to make a decision. The classic example is there is a data available. Okay, in France, in some early 1950s, the birth rate increased. Okay, from X per 100 to or X per 1,000 to some 2X per 1,000. Okay, on the same year, okay, the migratory birds from Siberia moving towards Mediterranean or towards Asia also doubled. So therefore, can somebody say that the stocks deliver the babies? So the conjunction
No,
fallacy.
babies deliver the stocks.
Well, the conjunction fallacy is trying to connect two unconnected events or unconnectable events and trying to make a decision. Okay, and this is a real story. Yeah? So this was a published. Somebody was even trying to justify in either the parliament or in some publication saying that there was it is very clearly establishing that the stocks are delivering the babies. Okay, so that's why this example keeps coming up again in multiple subjects, especially in decision sciences. Okay, then overconfidence. The overconfidence is something like it starts with the articulation of I've always known, or I've always won, or I've always known that we can't make money in this, or I have always known that this is how we make money, kind of a thing. These are the biases which operate in the back of our minds when we make decisions. It is important to understand these before we get into the core subject of the crisis and the decision making during the crisis. To make decision is human. Nobody can avoid decision making. Okay, and most of the time we tend to make decisions on autopilot mode. We rely heavily on intuitions. Okay, and intuitions are not all bad and they are not all good. And there is a way to train the intuition. We don't have time to discuss about that. Okay, so there is a way we can train our intuition with data, and we justify our decisions most of the time by selective data collection and selective data interpretation. So the unconscious biases cloud our thinking and decision making in normal times. So it gets accelerated when we get into the crisis situation. So far, any questions or any counterpoints, any disagreements on what we have discussed so far?
One question, Raghavan sir. So, see, we rely on intuitions because there is nothing else we can rely on. So, on what basis we have to, then on what, if we should have data, but if there is no data, but we need to take a decision. So, we might have, there is no other way other than relying on the intuitions, or you can say sometimes it might be emotionally driven decisions also.
Agreed. So let's hold on to this, what you have raised. Okay, after a couple of slides, if this still remains unanswered, then we will come back to that and discuss that. Okay?
Sure.
Right. Thank you. Any other questions or counterpoints? If there is none, then shall we move on?
Yes, sure.
Yeah. Is the pace okay, or should I go slow or go fast?
Pace is okay.
Yes, it's going
Okay.
good.
Yeah.
Okay. How many of you are involved in digital transformation projects? Either as a participant, the person who gets affected, or the person who's leading it, or the person who pays for it, the decision maker. Anybody here leading or participating in a digital transformation project?
Yes.
Yeah, I was part of it. We'll give chance to
I
others.
was part of it.
Yeah, Barinder Singh is there. Yes, sir.
Can anybody tell me what percentage of the DT project, the digital transformation projects, really succeed?
Around 30%.
That's a very good number, very close. Globally, okay, there is a McKinsey survey and then there is also a BCG survey. The number is anywhere between 17% to 30%. Okay. And you know how the digital transformation projects are decided?
Depends on the customer. If they want to improve the customer experience, number one, or otherwise, that's one aspect of it. The other one is that how to evolve with the current technologies from the legacy to the new evolving technologies such as cloud or AI.
Understood. So that is a beginning point. So to kind of paraphrase your answer into a slightly more commonplace language, I'm a company, I am running on some legacy system. It's a homegrown ERP. The world has moved to S4 HANA RISE. So I need to move. So that is technology upgradation. Okay. And the other one is my customers having hard time. Okay, most of them are mobile first kind of people, and I'm still on desktop or not even having a website, so I need to go and help improve the customer experience. So therefore, I adopt to digital technologies. Yeah, Shima.
Um, I had a third perspective on this. Of lately, what I've noticed is people, I mean, the companies do digital transformation because they want to cut down their number of people in the company. It's
Okay.
one of the very recent trends that I've.
Sure. I mean, the AI, ML
I
adoptions.
slightly disagree on this. Basically, it is to improve the efficiency. It may result in reducing people, or it may not, or it may transform people into some other role.
Sure. I mean, however it is articulated or implemented. So I'm not going to get into the why digital transformation is leading to manpower reduction. I'm not going to get into that minefield right now. Okay, maybe another day. Okay. Yes, in very successfully implemented digital transformation projects have not seen manpower reduction. Rather, manpower has been retrained and redeployed. And very poorly implemented digital transformation has not only not benefited the business, but also have resulted in attrition and manpower reduction. So there is the canvas is pretty wide and it is all over the place. So I would not get into that right now. But the point I'm trying to make is most of the digital transformation projects are $1 million or above budget projects. Okay, the large scale ones, and deliberate decision making is involved. There is an end user and there is the financing entity within the company, and there are technical experts, external, internal. Everybody comes together, and even after that, if 17 to 30% of the projects are succeeding, we have something to think about decision making, the quality of decision making. Okay. And none of the digital transformation projects are done under duress, under pressure. The pressure may be created by the company on their own, but nobody who is on the verge of bankruptcy is going to go into a digital transformation project. Okay. So this is even in peacetime. This is a peacetime decision. This is not a wartime decision. So the success rate is anywhere between 17 to 30% with all the deliberate process of decision making. So this is a data point that we want us to keep in the back of our mind. So let's get into the crisis right now. Okay. How do we define the crisis? The crisis, I mean, I went through various literatures and then I thought probably this explains a little bit more than the many other, the pedantic explanation of crisis. It's about a sudden pressure. There is some environmental change. There is something which has changed in the business internally or externally, which causes a certain pressure, which raises the stakes. It could be the sustenance of the business itself, the continuity of the business itself, and the future of the business. And there is a very limited clarity. Okay. So to go back to Jyotika's story about 25 years back, there is a sudden pressure on her because her child is surrounded by monkeys. She wouldn't know whether they would really attack him really badly or not. The stakes are very high. The emotional stakes are pretty high. And there is absolutely no clarity. She doesn't know what to do, and nobody knows what can be done. What her sister-in-law did was an act of bravery. Okay, well, what kind of decision-making process was going through her mind at that point in time? Only she can clarify. Okay, so I am not privy to that, so I will not second guess that right now. But I'm saying that is the kind of a decision situation. Say, for example, a few decades ago, okay, the today's Birla Corp was AVB, that is Aditya Vikram Birla group of companies. Mr. Aditya Vikram Birla goes for a business trip to London and passes away in London. Mr. Kumar Mangalam Birla, the current chairman, was all of 23 or 24. And the entire business empire is on his shoulders today. But on that day, it was a crisis for the entire group. The sudden pressure on account of the senior Birla passing away untimely in a foreign land, and the stakes are very high, both for the family as for the business, and there is a extremely limited clarity. The line of succession was not clear, and then there were many other things which are not clear, and there is a very well documented literature available in public domain through various financial press about how they navigated and how they emerged stronger after that crisis. So crisis can be anything. COVID was a crisis. COVID was a crisis for many of us. Okay. The Indigo fiasco was a crisis for many of us in many different ways. There were people who were missing examinations, people who were missing joining a company in another place, and there were people who were missing flights to go to a foreign land to pursue a better future and all that. So crisis is about a sudden pressure created by either an internal factor or an external factor or factors where the stakes are high and it is almost existential and there is a very limited clarity. And many a time such crisis ensue some high level, high power decisions to be taken to come out of the crisis. How many of you have really seen such kind of crisis situation which may be pretty unique to you or common? So if anybody can share an example of some crisis that you might have come across. Yeah, Bharadwaj.
Actually, the situation has arisen today morning only in our office. So it was my order only from Hyderabad. So there was a slight paint change because we are in a manufacturing organization. We manufacture electrical enclosures, to brief. So one of my customer has asked a color which is not readily available in the market, and it is having a pure polyester coating. So it was not asked by the customer, but it was suggested by my design team. But at the end of the day, the powder was not available, the pure polyester coating was not available. So they found this on 13th of December, and today we are on 19th. So 17th and 18th is the delivery date. So suddenly my operational manager saw that, and someone from the production team came and updated him that the paint is not available and tomorrow is the delivery date. He got tensed. He don't know he could not understand what to do. He called to that design team and he has bombarded them like anything. Immediately in that tense situation, he called to my MD. Instead, there was a hierarchy, there was an executive director, and then he has to go to MD. But directly, he called to my MD, explained the situation, kept the complete blame on the sales team. And then later, MD told that after I come to office, we'll discuss on this. In the meantime, I am luckily available in Bangalore office. So I went to him, I understood the situation. I opened the documents and everything. Then I showed them it is nowhere mentioned. Then why are you taking the pressure? Whatever it is available, you proceed with that. Then in the meantime, my executive director also came. He also understood the situation. He analyzed everything after half an hour to 45 minutes of brainstorming and understanding what actually customer requirement is. Then he came to a cool position and then he advised the team to proceed further with whatever it is available. So that was the crisis situation which arrived today morning. But with 30 to 45 minutes of brainstorming, we took a decision and we have given what customer has required.
Yeah, we will come back to this example once we have gone through a few more steps because this is a very, very interesting and very exciting example to debrief when we do this. Yeah, others, please. I don't know who put up the hand, second, third. So somebody needs to help me with
Lata,
that.
yes. Lata Nahar.
Okay, now I had a very strange situation. I'm a skills development trainer by profession, and I was given an assignment by my training company to go to Delhi and train my trainees on time management and goal setting. So I prepared the agenda, training plan, activities, everything is ready. And I go to Delhi over there. And my client over there, whom I have to train, is a manufacturing giant, big name in the jeans sector. Now I go there and I open my laptop and put up the PPT starting, and I want to welcome my trainees. And then the manager, training manager, was sitting in the training room meeting. Lata, this is already done. Means both the topics already done, and I'm looking like, how can it be done? I've been told by Bangalore office that this is a two training program I'm supposed to do, time setting and goal setting. And I already had discussions with the client training manager, my training manager, all of us sat and we already had on a call everything done. And now I go there and they tell Lata, this is not top. This topic has already been done 10 days back. And what topics they were given is communication skills, more weightage on email etiquettes and non-verbal communication. Now, I really don't understand what to be done because suddenly I need to change the whole training plan there. So, and I cannot do it on my own because I cannot take the decision over there. I need to consult my training manager and then do it. And if anyone has gone to, no offense to anyone over here, but when you go to Delhi and NCR region, people do not talk in a very light terms over there. So we understand how they are. They're more of like, they just want to punch you for everything. It's like that. And looking at them, and I'm like, what to do now? So I call up my training manager and I tell, see, this is the situation here. And they're getting little irritated over there because this training is already done and they didn't expect this from us or the whatever decisions taking. So they tell Lata, what can you do? I don't, the only thing I can do in this situation is give them an icebreaker. Give them an icebreaker. So they will be involved for 15-20 minutes. In that meantime, I do have other training programs already where I put these particular topic, communication skills. So I can pull out that PPT, do some additions, subtractions over here and there. Then I can start it off. I get another half an hour after that. Once I do, I give them a deep brief, agenda, everything, and I put them with activities. So I get another half an hour. So I can redo my whole PPT. They're like, okay, go ahead. And that's when I took a little time, composed myself, took some long, deep breaths, inhale, exhale. And then I told Lata, you're training people from Delhi and NCR region. You're not training people from Bangalore. Come on, let's go for it. And then I just started with an icebreaker, and then I borrowed some time, and then I redo my PPT, and then the whole training program went well. Everything went well, good. But only one thing, when I came back to Bangalore, I told the training manager from the client side, I told, see, I understand you're a little confused, but don't get that confused that once I go there, your people want to hit me there. That why did this girl come coming the same training plan? So let's think twice. Let's always proofread, redo, reconfirm everything, and then send someone there. Maybe maybe I was in the industry for a long time, I could do it. If you send someone who's very new over there, they get nervous over there. And this is not a good sign for them to start it off. And they're making someone nervous is not good sign according to me. So this was my experience. And I till date remember before starting any of my trainings. I don't know, somehow I remember this experience and then start my trainings. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah,
We have
Aditya.
one more. Yeah, Aditya.
Sorry, I'll keep it short. So, today what really happened is actually a crisis in our industry. So, it's an example of a competitor. It's not my company. So, one of our very key competitors had a crisis where their website, their mobile app got hacked overseas, and they have around 10 million users throughout the world. So all the confidential data of the users, their credit card information, was held ransom by these hackers. So they said, you pay us $50 million immediately, or else we get access to these credit card information and we might start misusing them. So the company had to immediately do something to, damage control. First, there will be PR pressure because, if it goes out into the press, that means the users lose faith in the company, the shareholders lose faith in the company, and then it might just topple down their future. That's the first pressure. The second pressure is you have to give in to the ransom request that the pressure basically that is holding the company hostage. And the third thing is you have to also maintain calm and satisfy the user demands because users don't know that this is going on. A lot of users don't know. So which means you have to continue your business as usual, right? So you have to balance those three situations. Now, I don't know what has transpired right now, but the decision that we as a leadership team took today is that we are going to look at our security measures. We don't want to get impacted by these hackers any day, because if it happened in the industry, it can happen to us. And if it happens to us, we are in no position to lose users, lose money, or lose reputation. So in order to avert that crisis, we decided that we are going to do a policy audit, security audit of our company, and then see how we can prevent such attacks from happening, so that we don't enter into the similar situation as our competitor.
Thank you. Thanks for sharing. Shall we move on?
Yes.
Okay, in a crisis, what happens in a jiffy is there is a tendency to act immediately. Okay, so I'm going back to Jyotika's example again, because she used a particular phrase. Okay, she said, I froze. I didn't know what to do. Okay, and she also said that something possessed her sister-in-law. She went and did something which saved the child. Okay, so really, if you look at it, you in a crisis situation, either you fight like the sister-in-law did, or you freeze like Jyotika did, or flight, you run away. But in that situation, she couldn't have run away. Okay, in many situations, either it is a fight, flight, or freeze. This is what happens. So in a crisis situation, when we are faced with a sudden pressure, there is a tendency to act immediately. That is, acting immediately is without thinking. Do we have a doctor here in this group? Anybody who is associated with the health profession? Okay, if you understand the anatomy of the brain, on the bottom part of the brain, there is a small portion which we have retained over millions of years. Okay? The technical term for that is the anatomical term for that is amygdala. That has all the codes of all the fights that we have had as a species ever since the caveman. Okay, until whatever time it is coded into the genetic, the DNAs and RNAs of our system. So that is the animal brain. Okay, so when we say that that is the animal part of the brain, it doesn't think, it only acts. Okay, that triggers your adrenaline, and then it gives you that extra boost of power and extra boost of energy to either fight or flight. Okay, and it also sometimes make you immobilized to a freeze kind of a situation. So we are depending too much on instincts and intuitions to make decisions. Many a times we would not be using the other parts of the brain, and therefore we are more prone to either doing a fight, flight, or freeze. If let's say the crisis is, I go to a restaurant with the family, somebody is teasing people who have come with me. Okay, that is a pressure situation. Without assessing the opponent, I decide to fight or flight or freeze. It's not going to help me or my family in any good way. So I need to think and act. So the point I'm trying to make here is, for those who had responded saying that in a crisis situation, I tend to act immediately. I need to do something here and now to mitigate the crisis. You may want to rethink in what situation you would like to act immediately, in what kind of situation you need to resist doing that. Let's come to a very important subject about decision making, especially in a crisis. Can we predict a crisis? Can we predict a crisis?
Never ever.
No.
No,
In
we
select
can.
cases, your intuition helps you
Yes,
predict crisis.
sometimes we can.
Okay? Can we identify a crisis?
Yes.
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 As it happens or post its effects?
The symptoms display as it happens.
As it happens. Okay. So, there is a book called Anti-Fragility. Okay. Nassim Taleb, Nassim Taleb. Nassim Taleb is a trader, he's an options trader. Okay, he didn't start as an options trader. He's an interesting character. You should look up for him on YouTube and listen to him. Not an easy person to listen to either, but his concepts are very powerful. Okay.
Black Swan.
Black Swan, okay, and Anti-Fragility. These are some of the books. I mean, to read, you require a huge willpower to finish it, but it is interesting subject and it's worthwhile. Okay, so if you are an options trader or even a stock trading, you are investing in stocks, please do read. There is a concept of known known and unknown unknowns, and there are many things in between. So as MBA spoils us, we all try to put it in a 2 by 2 matrix to make things very simple or very bad. Okay, so that's what I have tried doing here based on what I understood from Nassim Taleb's approach to anti-fragility. So on the bottom side, the x-axis, you have the predictability. On the y-axis, you have the domain familiarity. You are quite familiar with one particular domain. Let's say you are an educationist. You understand education, field of education like the palm of your hand. So your domain familiarity is very high. Okay. The predictability, on the other hand, is known, highly predictable events. Okay, there is a change in legislation once in X years, like you have this NEP 2020 or its predecessor, and then change in certain things, and then there are totally unpredictable events. So how do we marry these two to arrive at what we can predict and what we cannot predict, and what can we do about it? If your domain familiarity is how do I move this? Sorry. How do I move this? Okay. If I know the domain very well and events are highly predictable, so then somebody who's here in manufacturing, the SOPs help you, right? The standard operating procedures help you. And once you have the standard operating procedures and predictable events, fire accidents can happen. So I'm not talking about when it will happen. I'm not talking about that predictability. But if you have an electric mains and you have a substation and you have a transformer, you have a bus bar, loose connections are possible, sparks are possible, electric fires are possible. So you can have an SOP to prevent. You can have an SOP in the event of fire, what should be done. So the preparedness drills are possible. And in design and in manufacturing, you would have heard the term called FMEA. Those of you who are from engineering field and who are from manufacturing and design, the failure modes and effects analysis. So what are the known failure modes and what could be the effect of that and how do you really mitigate that? And it is a known, very well-known domain, but unpredictable. There is something called scenario planning. What if situations? What if this happens? What can happen? And what should I be doing? And what could happen? You can also do a bit of a sensing, which is environmental scanning. So, what is happening? What is the trend? So therefore, I can create scenarios. And then the options are hedging. Okay, so how do I hedge against the dollar appreciating? Okay, will rupee become 105, 110 to a dollar? Then can I hedge at 90? Can I hedge at 95, etc.? So then there are insurance strategies. Most of our insurance premiums, either for healthcare or for life, are like there is a predictable, but we don't know when. Yeah, likely to fall sick, likely to go away. So how do we mitigate that by the insurance strategies and simply anticipation and awaiting? Okay, let it happen, dekha jayega. So these are possible options which can happen. If the domain is unknown and known and highly predictable things, when will this happen? The domain is unknown when you are diversifying. Let's say you are a chemical trader, you want to move into something else. You don't know the domain, but there are experts available. You can always seek the domain experts' advice. Based on that, you can create your SOPs and preparedness, right? And then there is a completely unknown. Here, I mean, there is no amount of preparedness is going to help you because you can't prepare for the unknown. The domain is unknown, the event is unknown. What happened to us in COVID? Okay. What happened to India in tsunami? Even though tsunami as a phenomenon has been happening in the Pacific area for many years, tsunami happened in southern part of India, caught everybody unaware. Okay. So here there is a fair amount of openness, open mind, flexible approach, flexibility, and then the ability to respond rapidly and the ability to make certain decisions even with very limited parameters being visible, very limited data being visible. So let's discuss this. Is this matrix understandable?
Yes.
And can any of you connect with any of this? And do you have any examples to share?
Sir, can I?
Sure. I mean, since I reduced even the window, I'm not able to see who is put up the hand. So, Jyotika, I need your help.
Yes, yes, Raghavan. Go ahead, Bharatwaj.
Okay. Actually, being in a manufacturing industry, what you have said is already connected to my current role or current industry. So yes, we had our standard, we had some missionaries. So for each and every missionary, we had our standard SOPs. Even we had some unpredictable for attending that unpredictable uh, crisis also. We had some tools ready with us. We had some procedures ready with us. So because we are familiar with our industry, with our manufacturing industry, with our machineries, we are very much familiar. So both these known and unknown, unpredictable also, we can, because of domain familiarity, we are able to manage that. Coming to that unknown means, yes, just in recently, our management has taken a decision to to start a new vertical of GRL. So for that reason, we have connected with one of our uh, one we have tied up with one Japanese companies. We are taking their expertise and their business model in India, and we are working hand in hand with them. So that down the line, after 2 to 3 years, we'll stop that direct Japanese interacting in India, and we will take over that. So that expertise of that Chinese what you call product, we are taking that advantage and we want to bring as an Indian product into the market. So that is what we are doing when that the product is not familiar for us. If we are into enclosures, we are familiar. But that bus bar supports and all which we are giving internal, which is new product for us, we are taking an expert suggestion for that. And unpredictable situations, as something happened like today morning or something, yes, we will be open, we will be discussing, we will be coming to a common, and we will be sometime discussing with my customer also to make them understand what the actual problem is, and then we will be coming to a common, we will be giving a solution for them, or we will be taking their support to give them their solution. So it is all these four quadrants are very much connected to my industry and my career. That's why immediately what you have said, I could have understood everything.
Thank you. Anybody else who would require any elaboration of this or would like to offer a different point of view on this? Okay, if there is none, shall we move ahead?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So can you really predict a crisis? I put two images on top. Can anybody, one is almost self-explanatory. The one on the left this is about various viruses which have been plaguing the world since many years. Okay. From the Spanish flu in 1918 to various other flus which came. The closer home was the SARS, okay, the Hong Kong flu, which happened, okay, and then the subsequently in 2003, there was a SARS-2, SARS-1 and SARS-2 outbreak. The virus, the people who are familiar with virology will know this. The virus per se is almost closer to the COVID virus, okay? And therefore, from a point of view of predictability, this could have been predicted if we had looked at the right parameters. Okay. But there are many theories about why it happened, when it happened. So I'm not getting into the politics of that. But there are certain crises which are predictable if we look at the right place and look hard enough and look at the right data. The image on the right side is, you can call it the tsunami map. The dark red dots, the concentration that you see are in the Pacific Rim, okay, including Japan and the parts of United States and many parts of Oceania, okay. Tsunamis have been happening as a daily happening in those places, okay. But tsunami happening here was something which was not easily predictable. Now that it has happened once, so should there be a tsunami monitoring center? Because most of these countries in this rim have tsunami monitoring center. They don't monitor the tsunami when tsunami has formed. They look at conditions which are conducive to create tsunami. And therefore they keep issuing tsunami warnings. 9 out of 10 warnings are harmless. Okay, but one big warning, what happened in Japan a few years ago. Okay, so those kind of things keep happening there. So predicting the crisis 100% may not be possible, but if we really look at the data trends and do the right things, it may be possible. Accuracy, I'm not commenting on that. Accuracy can be anywhere in the scale. So we can look at how probable an event can be. And if it is probable, then what could be the impact? And then we can decide whether the cost of preparedness will be high or cost of loss will be high. That is the decision point. So this is where the techniques like scenario planning, etc., really helps in certain amount of decision making. I hope I'm able to convey what I'm trying to convey. So not that all crises are sudden. Some crises can be foretold, not with the accuracy of on this day, this time, this will happen. An event like this can happen. So that can lead to a certain amount of preparedness. And there is a cost associated with that. The best example, Cold War between the Eastern Bloc and the Western countries. You have a huge amount of shelters, bunkers built across United States and Western Europe and UK and other places. In the event of a nuclear war, so what should we do? Okay. So is it probable? May not be highly probable. Possible, yes. Some despot on either side can trigger that war. And should something happen, you need to protect people. So that becomes very important. So therefore, the cost of loss is very high and avoidable. And therefore, decision to be prepared, the preparedness. Okay, so the cost of prepare, and this principle can be applied to organizations in every level. Is there any disagreement on this?
No.
Anybody disagreeing with this? Am I audible?
Yes,
Yeah.
Raghavan, no one is disagreeing.
Okay. Okay, so let's get into now the little deeper into the crisis. Let's look at the crisis in its elements. Okay. There is a trigger or a triggers. It may come with or without an early warning. And it escalates. It can either rapidly escalate or it can gradually escalate. And it will reach a serious proportion. And it will peak at a certain point in time. The peak point is the maximum impact point and at its highest intensity. And of course, the crisis situation cannot continue. Okay, it will start, the normalcy will start recovering. Okay, that happens, then we start understanding the situation, what has happened or what is happening. And since we have some understanding of what is happening, we initiate the mitigation process. And then we try to reach the old normal, but at least we reach the new normal. Sounds familiar? The COVID, which happened, followed this pattern, isn't it? The lockdown was a decision. Lockdown was not a crisis. The crisis was COVID. Lockdown was a decision. Okay. Whether the decision was taken when the peak has reached or before the peak, that is another matter. Okay. So, and then there is a recovery which started, right? Even before the vaccine was introduced, there was a easing out of the lockdown, and then the vehicle permits were given and people were allowed to move, and things started becoming normal again. There is a new normal, and that's how we invented Zoom. And but thanks to COVID, this session is happening. Okay, otherwise we wouldn't have gotten Zoom, and I mean these kind of sessions wouldn't have been possible at all. Any questions on this? No questions? Okay, this is scary because either you're completely understood or you're completely misunderstood or not understood. So,
Yes.
That's clear, sir. That's clear.
So I
okay.
have a question.
Yes, please.
Because when COVID came, each country responded in different ways. So which one would have been right?
I don't know because who's right, who's wrong is see. I'm not talking about what should have been done by X country or Y country or Z country during COVID. All I am saying is COVID was a crisis, agreed.
Yes.
Yep.
And COVID came with a trigger. Okay. There were a lot of people either dying or falling sick in China, and that was around the Chinese New Year time. People were traveling all over, and people were traveling to China, and it was spreading like wildfire. Okay, the escalation was happening, and it reached a peak, and then the recovery started. So, whether it is COVID or the Trump tariffs, okay, the what is happening through ICE and other things in the United States today. These are all crises for somebody. And we may not be affected immediately, and the H-1B visas either going away or becoming very costly. Okay, so there are crises in multiple and geopolitical situations. Okay, across various countries. Okay, then there was a time when Suez Canal was under threat, and the export import across the world was getting affected. So there were many different disruptions which are happening. So most of the crises will follow a sequence like this. The timing between sequence may vary. Okay, and therefore it's not up to me to say X country handled it better or Y country handled it better, because I don't know. I don't have enough information to comment on that, nor am I a commentator on such things. So shall we move on?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep. One question,
Yeah.
sir. So why we need to do an anatomy of a crisis? See, crisis come, and as you suggested, we as humans will have three response: fight, flight, or freeze. And sometimes
That is if
we
that
have a
is
choice.
if that is
Hmm.
if you decide to act immediately,
Okay, okay.
okay, without thinking. But you have a
Mm-hmm.
choice to think and act, or to act immediately without thinking. That is purely a personal choice as a leader.
Mm-hmm. So for thinking, we have to use this anatomy, right?
We need to understand, okay? So
Understand. Okay.
the question is, if it comes with an early warning, did I miss it? Do I have the system to read the early warning? Okay.
Mm.
The stock market crisis of 2008, okay. Was there an early warning? Yes, of course. Okay, the Freddie Mac and Fannie Mae, where the mortgages were going all over the board, and people were warning, saying that this is all artificial, okay, and therefore there is going to be a stock market crash, and you better be careful. And the warning was ignored, right? Yeah, Mr. Singh.
See, we have a very famous English thing, history repeats itself. So we have seen two world wars, we have seen a lot of geopolitical crises in past also. There were leaders like Trump in past also. There were economic crises right from 1929, which repeat in a similar way. So if we have faced, if the humanity has faced crisis and documented the lessons, why do we face again the same thing? Why don't we start acting at the triggers?
Absolutely. So the to answer that question, I would very strongly recommend you to look at a class of companies. There are certain Japanese companies which are almost 400 years old. I'm talking about corporations which are 400 years old. There are family,
Conglomerates, yeah.
yeah, and there are family-run mid-sized German companies, okay, which are at least 200, 250 years old. Many of them sail through many of these crises, because they look at the triggers and then they do things, the right things at the right time, so that they have created a moat for themselves and they are protected. While they may not be able to avert the crisis for the whole country, but when the whole country was going through the crisis, they and their employees were still less affected than the others, even during the World War in Germany. Even
Coming
through the
back to this digital transformation, which you told 30%, actually, if you go in details, the success of any projects, not only digital transformation, is around 30 to 35%.
any
And
transformation project, wherever we have a
uh,
transformation involved, whether digital or otherwise,
mm, mm.
the success rate is very, very limited, essentially because the decisions are made for not for the outcomes, for something else. So we'll come to that.
So the last question, we as a humanity don't learn from lessons, or we don't record the lessons in a proper way. Maybe there are few companies in the world where, as you have mentioned, but as a journal,
I mean, as a larger society, we may not be, but it is possible. If we decide to do, if we follow the examples of those Japanese companies and the German companies, and there are some Indian companies as well, okay, a few, maybe very, very few, and they have withered many different crises, okay, from Rusi Modi to Mr. Mistry to whatever else. Shall we move on?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Raghavan.
Yeah. We also need to understand the psychology of a crisis because the decision making is a human element. So the decision making cannot be automated. Decision making, even if you are making a decision based on data, a person is looking at the data and deciding to do certain things in a certain way. So it is very important to understand the psychology of the crisis as well. What is my stress response? When I am stressed, how do I respond? That is the first thing. I mean, the decision maker's stress response. And how do I really deal with the cognitive overload? When the crisis happens, too many things happen at the same time. Okay, this is the classic example of a mother in everyday morning. Okay, so there is something which is going wrong in the kitchen, and the child is late for school, and the husband, of all things, he can't find his socks. And the school van is not plying today, and somebody has to drop the child, and the man has a very important meeting in the office. Top of it, the mother is a working mother, and she too has a project deadline, and she has an update meeting in about 30 minutes. This is not just the work overload, there is a cognitive overload for that person. There's so many things to be thought through, so many things to be decided simultaneously. So, cognitive overload of the person making decision. And what does this do? The bias amplification. If we have some strong bias, let's say I have a confirmation bias, okay? I think something is right, and then I look for data to confirm it. This kind of bias will get amplified. For each person, it could be a different bias. So, from a normal equilibrium, something a stressor, a trauma, pressure, which happens here, depending on our stress response and cognitive overload and our bias, whether we are amplifying the bias or reducing the bias, we either see danger or we see an opportunity. So if we cope successfully, we actually resolve the crisis and improve the functioning, which means we see an opportunity and get something out of that, or at least status quo, return to the previous functioning. If we are overwhelmed, the cognitive overload bears us down and our biases are amplified, we get into a situation of repeated mini crisis and poor functioning and burnout. Does it explain? This is the decision-making point under stress, under pressure, in crisis. So if we actually do the right things, we can see a combination of danger and opportunity, not only danger or not only opportunity, and take the right decision and follow the right path. And that is the reason why we need to understand a crisis and our own mental responses to a crisis before we even take a decision. Because, today this is like a sandbox situation where we are playing around with that, where nobody is under stress unless somebody has to catch a flight in another 10 minutes. Okay, so nobody is under stress. But the real point here is if we can think through this and go back and understand what is a predictable crisis. Even if it is not predictable, can I assign some probability, even if it is on the wrong side, but I can plan scenarios. If the cost of preparedness is not high, I can even start preparing for that. India's software industry was born because of a perceived crisis and the preparedness response to that. How many of you remember Y2K? India's software industry is the product of that preparedness. Yeah, Ashima.
No, I said I do remember Y2K.
Yeah. So it is possible. Somebody predicted that it could be a crisis. The imagination at that point in time was the flights will fall off. Okay, the computers will stop. to a grinding halt. Power plants will stop producing. The world will come to a grinding halt. So therefore, something needs to be done. A lot of work happened prior to that. And that's how, and the byproduct of that is while the world avoided that crisis, it was a non-crisis. The improved functioning for India, a huge industry was born out of it. Shall we move on?
Yes, Raghavan.
Yeah.
We have another 25 minutes for the session.
Sure. So the decision-making process is about sensing, making sense of what is happening, and framing. This is important. How do I frame the situation? What is happening? What is happening to me? What is happening to my company? What is happening to my business? And choosing what are the alternatives that I have to respond to this situation and acting. Based on what I have chosen, how do I act? Clear? And more importantly, after the crisis, post-crisis, when the normalcy, either old normal or new normal is returning, this is where Mr. Singh's point, if we document the learning, the future crisis can be less impactful. The future crisis can be less painful. I'm not stopping here for a breakout session because we have discussed a lot and then we have only 25 minutes. So shall I move on, Jyotika?
Yes, Raghavan.
Yeah. So there are, when we make a decision in a crisis, many a times we limit the framework. Okay, we decide to go to a binary framework without any creative thinking into that, either one way or other. The narrow framing of the problem. So that can hurt the outcomes. Okay, this is one of the important traps that need to be avoided. And the alternative to that is there is an approach which includes the both. If there are two alternatives possible, can we do both? Is there something that I can do more? An inclusive decision making, expanding the choices, not restricting them. So that helps to expand the boundaries and challenge and expand the assumptions. And it also brings dynamism and comfort as we understand the situation better and we create more alternatives to respond to that. The best example, again, the recent one, everybody's memory is COVID. Okay, even before vaccine, the masks are not available, and then various things were tried out, and then the social distancing, and then the novel ways of working, teaching, living, everything came into being. That is because, okay, I'm not bound by, okay, I have to keep at home until the vaccine arrives. No, we can do something else as well. So this helped in easing out the situation more rapidly than otherwise. So there are many organized tools which are available. I'm not going to go to each of these tools because each of these tools take almost a full session. I'm just making you familiar with each of these tools and their applicability to the decision making under crisis. This framework, sign-off-in framework, is about understanding a situation. This is sensing and framing. So how do you understand the situation? Is it a complex situation or a complicated situation or a chaotic situation or a clear situation? A clear situation is, or a confused situation. A clear situation is everything is clear. Why this has happened? There is a fire. And the fire is an oil fire. The oil fire happened in the oil storage area of the plant or the warehouse or whichever part. The reason is there was a negligent practice. Somebody was smoking. Okay. So you were able to, there are fire extinguishers, you are able to contain it. So your response time is quicker. And if you have an SOP and preparedness, then probably the damage is also minimized. But there are some complicated things which can also happen. So where sensing, analyzing, and then responding becomes very important. A complex situation because there are many extraneous factors where you need to probe in order to sense what is happening. And then only you will be able to respond. A chaotic situation, indigo. stopping the flights. You need to do something very important. Act first. Look for an alternative, book a ticket, then sense, and you respond as you go. Still, there could be a completely confused situation. You are caught in the middle of a war zone without any preparation. It could be completely confusing. The job is to, you can't make it very clear. Whether you can fit it into any of this and try to sense and analyze and find ways to get out of the situation. So, what it tells us is even if we have limited time, we need to choose a method to respond rather than automatically on an autopilot mode responding to a crisis. Am I making sense? Does it make sense?
Yes, yes, Raghavan, sir.
Yeah. And this is about the same thing, but it is in a slightly different way. It is presented as how do you frame, that is orient. Okay, so each company, each organization have a certain way of looking at things based on their knowledge and experience. And therefore, still the framing the problem becomes very, very important. And then you choose a course of action, decide, strategize, how am I going to respond? And then based on what you choose, you act. And you need to start with the observe. So again, there's a sense, frame, you act, and then you learn. What it misses is it doesn't really codify the learning part of it. But the learning part in any crisis situation is very, very important. If you document, it will definitely serve you better for the future. Many of you who are from either IT or manufacturing will agree to that. Many of your disaster recoveries have certain amount of knowledge documentation at the end of the disaster recovery, isn't it? So that you can avoid that disaster in the future. So you enhance your security or you enhance your response system or enhance your skill level, whatever. So one of the examples given was app and a website getting hacked but for a competitor, and somebody else is already learning from it and responding to the potential threat. So preparing for it. The other one is an RPD framework, recognition primed decision model. So you look at the decision, you look at the situation, and you look at the cues, that is again sensing, and then you look at the patterns. So you activate the action plan. So you have to have a mental model of it before you actually decide to act. And it is a kind of a loop. Typically, it is used in sports kind of situations. Okay, most of the sports scenarios, the star player in the middle of the game gets injured or gets a red card, okay, or an yellow card, or can't play for whatever reason. So the team is on the verge of winning or losing. So how do you maintain or recover the situation? So these are used in a very limited kind of an environment where it is very useful. And the both kind of a situation, the one way of looking at that is you have two polarities, quality and cost. The manufacturing guys would very clearly relate to that. So if you have to quickly improve your quality, your cost is likely to go up in the short term. In the long term, you may save cost, but in the short term, it is likely to go up. So how do you really balance that? So you look at the purpose, what is the greater purpose, and what is your deep fear? And then how do you look at these polarities and then look at the upside benefits and the downside results and take a balanced view and create your options for your decision making? So you're not choosing side. You're not choosing the side of the quality or you're not choosing the side of the cost. You are trying to do a balancing act which is appropriate for the greater purpose. You may not be the best quality, but you may be the acceptable quality to the most important customer of yours. The customer pays for you for a particular quality and you are able to deliver that quality. That is precisely what was explained in the cabinet example today. The polymer coating was an additional quality. That is a wow quality that comes with an extra cost. and extra effort. When you are in a crisis situation, you have taken a decision, you are following the spec. You are not going above the spec. But what is more important, the greater purpose is delivery on time. December 18th deadline at any cost is very important. But you are not a substandard quality. You're not giving polymer. That is not killing the customer's product. The customer is still getting what he wanted. But you were not giving what you wanted to give. That is okay. I hope the distinction is clear. Any questions on this?
But one question is, in Bharadwaj case also the customer should approve, right? Because they should not come back saying we were expecting something else.
No, Bharadwaj can probably clarify. What Bharadwaj said was the design drawing very clearly does not mention the polymer coating.
Yes. There is
Polymer coating is the design department's embellishment. Okay, this is a icing on the cake. The icing is not in the drawing.
Okay.
This is an important method or an approach to many of us know postmortem. Something is dead and we are able to go and find out the root cause post happening of the event. The pre-mortem is looking at what can go wrong. This is a little bit deeper FMEA, the failure modes and effects. What can go wrong? So they anticipate the failure early and then plan the safeguards. So look at the likelihood, the probability. If it is high likely, then you are safe. How do you quickly put in the safeguards? If it is low likely, can you handle it post event? Okay. So high likelihood and high impact, you would definitely like to avoid that. So you will put your safeguards ASAP. Okay. So it is a very low likelihood and low impact. So you will accept. You say that dekha jayega. When it happens, we will do that. Okay, so very high likelihood and low impact. Hedging, insuring, those kind of strategies. High impact and low likelihood. Still, you try to reduce or you can exploit. Okay, this again, wait and watch, but with a caution. Does it make sense? So in any case, what is important is we are assuming that we are going to get into a crisis blindly. But if we can actually look at crisis, they fall in certain categories and then understand the likelihood. And can we do a pre-mortem and then be prepared? If it is high likelihood and high impact, so is there a strategy to avoid it? So those kind of things are still possible. I heard somebody saying something, I'm sorry. Any questions? I heard somebody asking something. Okay. Any literature students here? Anybody who's with a literature background? Can you relate this to a very important play of Shakespeare?
Not sure whether it's something I just thought of Trojan horse.
Not exactly. And this is another classic of Shakespeare. Okay.
It was the Roman conquerors going ahead.
Yeah, this is about Julius Caesar. Okay. Julius Caesar was actually, before he became the emperor of Rome, he was actually a legionnaire. Okay, a legionnaire is more like a governor. The conquered territory he was overseeing. Rubicon is a small river before entering Rome. Okay. Whenever the legionnaires are returning from their conquered territory back to the home country, they have to disband their army completely. All their men have to be disarmed and they cannot bear arms and enter Rome. That will be an act of aggression, and that will be considered as sedition, and the person so does will be killed. Okay. So the very famous idiomatic use of English, which is the crossing the Rubicon, that comes from here. So why am I using that is this is a value and legacy based decisions. Okay, even in a crisis, what is more important is this is another matrix. On the x-axis is the means to achieve goals, and the y-axis is the goals to be achieved. There are two categories, very narrow and personal goals, and the larger category is benevolent and the goals that benefit others, the benefits the organization. Okay. And on the means to achieve the goals is the questionable means and the unquestionable means. If it is questionable and narrow, obviously it is selfish, unlawful, and immoral. Okay. And this will be definitely be caught and punished, and whatever will happen will happen. But if it is still personal, but it is unquestionable, then it is personal and lawful. And if it is unquestionable and it benefits the organization, is noble and benevolent. Okay. It is it is questionable, but it still benefits the organization. I put a question mark over there. The reason behind this is the decisions made during crisis, many of them will fall in this category. You may have to make some questionable decisions, but it may benefit the organization to come out of the crisis. So, as a leader, are you willing to take that risk? That is a question on decision making. This is one of the questions I'm leaving you with for thinking through for later. And we talked about many frameworks. The frameworks are essentially mental models, help us to think in a systematic way. They structure our thinking. They help us to be deliberate, not on the autopilot mode. But they are not the final word. We can't use the pedantic way, we can't use the framework and lose the larger picture and make some awful decisions. Frameworks used for the sake of framework will lead to suboptimal and defective decisions that we need to be mindful of. You're free to change the framework as well. So therefore, the smart decision making is about how do we bring simplicity in a complex situation or a complicated situation. Try to reduce a situation to its components, which are interrelated in a simple way to get best outcomes through a series of binary choices. We don't have to boil the ocean. So it is a series of binary choices. It's not one decision and then we live happily or unhappily ever after. It is one decision after another decision, and we are willingness to pivot. Okay, it's a one-way decision or a two-way decision. We need to choose and get into that. Mindful. In leadership positions, your circle of influence and your circle of impact is very high. If I'm leading a company where 1,000 people are working, actually my decisions are impacting minimum 3,000 lives. That is one person, at least three in a family. So 3,000 lives get affected. So therefore, I need to be mindful of that decision before my biases take over and I get into an autopilot mode. So therefore, I need to seek the voice of the core values. This is where I was showing that Julius Caesar painting. The decisions are not for the purpose of academic research. It is for the purpose of actions and outcomes, and therefore decisions have consequences. The immediate consequences could be some action that changes the status quo or it maintains the status quo. If maintaining the status quo is the best outcome required, so be it. Or if changing the status quo is the thing required, so be it. So that decision should be actionable. relevant to the problem being solved, relevant to the impacted stakeholders, and relevant to the time. So it is not the top of the mind recall or the recency effect. It is about what are we really solving here. And timely, not too early, not too late. This is where the the time frame is very, very important. Under pressure, everything appears urgent, but it may not be. So should you really come into that kind of an urgency, or can you take the time required to analyze and take the decision? And the decision stops with the decision making. Decision leads to actions. Actions will lead to reactions and outcomes. There'll be some physical movement of things, change of emotional state, and pushbacks and sabotage. Expect that your decision may not be understood and accepted by everybody. So follow-up decisions are needed to ensure that the original decisions deliver its intended outcome, and course corrections may be required from time to time in the decision making, in the decisions made. And the behavioral aspects, some of us are pacifists. We want to avoid conflict, so we decide in a certain way. And some of us may be very cantankerous, that is, we fight with everybody. Let me see who's right. And some of us are very democratic. We always seek a vote. Some of us could be pathologically autocratic. We may always say that it is my way or highway. And some of us could be a Machiavelli, match fixing kinds. So we take a decision and then manipulate everybody around. Oops.
I think something happened.
I think the power got out of the
Probably.
laptop, probably, yes.
Hmm.
So we are in a crisis, I'm sure.
Probably there is a power problem in his place, I think. It's a crisis situation, yes. How do you want to respond to this crisis situation? Just wait for him? All right. All right, what did you all learn so far?
We can anticipate the crisis and be prepared.
Not
Yes.
this one for sure.
We
Yeah,
understood
in this
there are
situation.
several
How
ways
to
to
handle a
understand
crisis, Nikita?
crisis.
I'm
Huh?
sorry.
Yes, yes, Raghavan.
Yeah, I'm really sorry. My poor decision of the
That's what
depending.
we're saying. Crisis situation here.
Yeah, that's right.
All
So
right.
anyway, we quickly recovered and okay. So let me complete what we started, and therefore a couple of slides more, and I hope it don't take that long.
We have 3 minutes more, Raghavan.
Yeah. Okay, I don't want to hold you back beyond that. So, what I was talking about is whatever is our natural orientation. In the interest of the organization, we need to make the right decision. So, we may have to reorient ourselves towards better decision making. So, our behavior orientation should not come in the way. And the burden of leadership is the decisions, the buck stops with the leader, and the indecisiveness is considered as a weakness. And of course, it is very lonely at the top. If you are a CEO or a business owner, you will know that. And so, therefore, you need to seek the wise counsel very clearly, and very wide and deep circle of influence and impact, which we talked about. And there are very high personal stakes. The average tenure of a CEO is very short. It's about less than 5 years, and it keeps reducing over the decades. And the CEO is not alone. The middle managers who also bear the brunt of decision making,
Your
because the top.
slide is not, can you share the slide, Raghavan?
I'm not sharing the slide. Because there is.
Okay.
Is it visible now?
Yes, yes, it is.
Okay. So that's why I was just presenting without showing the slides. Now I glitch is resolved. So the middle managers have the problem too, because not all that comes down from the top. The decisions are all very sane or sagely. Sometimes you need to deal with some absolutely insane or unwise decisions which come from the top. So at times, middle managers need to speak up and get decisions changed. That is a decision. To do that is a decision. So decision making affects the middle managers as well. And there is a pressure from both ends. While they're accountable to the top management, they're also accountable to the people they work with. So sometimes high empathy is required to engage on both sides, but high empathy can also lead to decision paralysis. So I will leave you with what would be your three major takeaways from this behaviors of your own that you would like to work on in making better, smart decisions, and what could be your immediate next steps. This is for you to, if you have a practice of journaling, do that, and then if that can improve, so that probably the session might have achieved its objective to some extent. So that's all I have, and willing to answer any questions or comments and a feedback as well. Don't be polite. So if some part of the thing was not working, that will definitely help.
Neelakantan sir, I have something to share with you.
Sure.
I felt today's program was extremely deep. I felt we could take a redo on certain topics, especially with the matrices that you explained with Crisis. It was so well defined, so well determined that we could learn more on the same aspect in detail for further implementations.
Whenever, and I have absolutely no problem, with time permitting and your times permitting, and either on a one-to-one or one-to-many basis,
One-to-one would
I'm
be very helpful, sir.
absolutely have no problem.
Yeah. But thank you for a very insightful.
Raghavan, can we have your email?
Sure, shall I share it on my
We will
on
share
the
it,
chat?
Raghavan, we will share it with them separately.
Okay.
Yes. All right.
And one more, Jyotika ma'am, since
Yeah.
Raghav sir mentioned, right, we can train our intuitions. So that is also something which is, I'm curious to know, how can we train?
That's right. See, for example, if when I'll explain what I do, if it is useful, use it. I mean, one thing I follow is I don't take anything for granted, and a question, and then I then modify it to suit myself rather than taking something as a kind of a given truth, and then try to follow it to the T. See, what I have a system called a decision tracker. Okay, every decision I made, okay, there's a very thick book before the. I mean, I'm a little antiquated, so by the looks of me, you should realize that. Okay, so therefore, I started before the laptop started. Okay, and so I used to write in long hands. So there was a book in which I had written each important decision, not which movie to go, which movie not to see, etc., but important decisions and why I took the context and the post decision expected outcome and actually the real outcome, and then if there was a completely different outcome, what went right or wrong. Okay. Sometimes it is a pleasantly different outcome. Sometimes it is a nasty different outcome. So what went right or wrong? So that helped me in a feedback loop to myself. Okay. And as I start, this is my fifth business transformation role. Okay. So in each role, many people were on the receiving end, either positive or negative. So in some cases, I have to let go people for no fault of theirs because the business priorities and prerogatives. Okay, so therefore needs to be done. And in some cases, you need to fight with even the promoters to get some investments done. Otherwise, the company would have gone under. So each time it requires a certain amount of introspection, and the data points are very important. Okay, some of the data points are not easily available, only you know, and that needs to be written down in a way. Today, I kind of use a journal which is electronic, and I can also subject that to a bit of a more formal analytics. Even the word things can be analyzed today. Okay, so tools are available, so that really helps. It's not anymore binary or ones and zeros, so I can.
Yeah. Thanks. Thanks.
I have a question here. This is Ashima.
Sure.
When you say that you record track your decisions, Mr. Raghavan, how do you do that? As in, do you make sure that when you have taken decisions, you leave certain amount of, or you come back and revisit it, that on this date I've done, I mean, some sort of an
Say,
example.
for example, just for the sake of example, I'm giving
Yes,
this
yes, yes,
example.
yes.
I decided to say yes to do this session. Okay.
Correct.
Let's say that was a decision. Okay. So I know why I did that. So
Correct.
I would have recorded it somewhere where whatever is my tool, I've recorded it. And what was the intended outcome that I expected out of this? Okay. So based on the feedback that I received during the session or after it, so whether it met the intended outcome or not. If not, let's say Jyotika tomorrow comes back and say that, oh, Mr. Raghavan, I'm very disappointed, very, very deeply disappointed that I shouldn't have called you. Then I would still say, thank you, Jyotika, but can you please tell me why?
Correct.
Okay, so therefore, next time around, I don't do the same mistake. I may do a different mistake.
Correct.
Okay, instead of the computer losing power at the last minute, I would have lost my PowerPoint in the beginning itself. Okay.
Sure. Got your point.
Raghavan sir, one more question. At the last of the session, you left us with things, behavioral changes that we can make. So as far as Leap is concerned, we got to know that journaling really helps us. So we are all into the practice. So the first thing that came to my mind is journaling can help. What could be the other practices? Okay, first I thought the mattress is whatever you say can help us. But apart from that, is there any other practice that can really help us?
There are a couple of practices. Jyotika, with your permission, can I show one slide, just one
Yes.
slide only? If it is okay.
Yes, absolutely. Please go ahead.
Okay. My screen visible?
Yes.
Yeah. See, one of the things is how many of you know who Stephen Covey is?
7 Habits.
7 Habits.
7 Habits.
Time management
And
methods.
his major inspiration was Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl was a Nazi concentration camp survivor, an Austrian psychiatrist who was interred by the Nazis in some of the deadliest concentration camps. One of the things that he talks about is the space between stimulus and response. Between stimulus and response, there is a space space is our power to choose our response. In our response lies our growth and our freedom. This is applicable to decision making in anything, whether it is an organizational decision making or personal decision making. And why I am connecting it with the difficult conversation is in high pressure situations, many decisions have to be communicated well. Nobody cares about what language you used. Nobody cares about how esoteric you were, how knowledgeable you were, but how clear your instructions were or how clear your communication was. That is measured by how people have understood and acted the way it was supposed to be. To make that happen, as a leader, the stimulus which is coming from the external world, all the pressures that come, and then your response to that in terms of decision making and communication, you need to create that space even when you have limited time. So this doesn't come automatically. Okay, journaling is one method of tracking your own way of responding to external stimuli. Other thing is deliberate practice, and you may want to seek feedback from somebody who that you trust, somebody who's interested in your well-being. And this is where coaching exists, mentors exist. Okay, so you need to seek somebody's feedback that can be really useful to you, or an accountability partner. You're absolutely right.
All right. Thank you very much, Raghavan. I will have to close this session now because it's 10 minutes past the closing time. Thank you very much for saying yes, first of all, to come and enrich our students here, our leapers here, with the knowledge that you have. I've been in awe of the knowledge you have, the experience you have, and you've shared that in depth. I am very sure there are a lot of takeaways for our students today, for our leapers today, and thank you very much, Raghavan, for being here. The last bit that you reinforced or reiterated, that effective communication is certainly, will certainly play a very important role, and even in crisis management. And to go back to the comment or the feedback, no, I will never say that you did a bad job. I will never say that, because I consider it as a pleasure and a privilege to have personalities like you coming here and sharing your knowledge. And all I can say is thank you from the bottom of my heart, my whole gratitude, as well as the gratitude of our leapers here. And thank you very much. Please accept a small token of our gratitude here. Thank you very much from District 121. I will be sending a copy of this through WhatsApp, but thank you very much, Raghavan, for your time and commitment in preparing such an intensive program. I will definitely call you tomorrow so that we can better align our next peer huddle. What we have is a peer huddle next week. I think it's very good to align with one of the frameworks that you have mentioned here so that we can also optimize the breakout room activity that we're going to have. So probably we can have a discussion tomorrow and put it together.
Sure.
All right. With that, let's take a quick picture. But I'd just like to remind everyone that we are going to release you all know about the outing that we're going to have on 31st of January and 1st of February. Now it's time to move ahead and get all the registration in. I'd just like to tell you that the registration form will be released tomorrow by our LEAP 3.0 mentor, Sri Hari, and all the details. He will be communicating quite regularly with you all because he needs to put a team together as well. So he will come forward with all the communication aspects starting tomorrow. But for now, I think we will go with the picture. Darren? Thank you, Srihari. I would like to mention that there is definitely an element of cost here for the offsite program. I hope you'll all understand because it's a complete 36 hours program. It's not very expensive, but it's definitely going to be worthwhile meeting all in the wilderness. So with that, I'd like to now hand over the session to Daryl for the photograph as well as the week ahead. Daryl, are you there?
Yes, Jyotika, very much here. Let me quickly spotlight Raghavan and Jyotika. All right, those of you on spotlight, please smile. Yes, and everybody, now it's your time to come on video if you are not on video. And keep smiling. Screen 1 is done. Going on to screen 2. And screen 3. Thank you. All right. Jyotika has definitely given us the excitement of our connect that will happen in end of Jan, but it's time for me to show you what is there for the week ahead. Let me quickly share my screen.
Yes, Raghavan, you want to say something?
No. Should we stay on or can I?
You can, yeah, you can leave, no problem.
Okay. Right. Thank you all. Thank you
Thank you.
for your
I'll call you
patience.
tomorrow, Raghavan.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right, so you have definitely received your pre-reading material and the post-session assignment. The post-session assignment or the reflections that you need to submit. There are 5 aspects to it. So the first is what are the key learnings or the insights that you got from today's session. There are 2 questions there that you have to answer. Post that you have been already provided with 3 case studies. You choose any one case and submit a reflection by answering the 2 questions that are associated with it. Well, if you want to do all 3, you're free to do that as well, but minimum at least one case, right? What would be your alternative decision approach if you were in that leader's position? How would you have handled the situation differently? The next part is the self and system awareness, where, with regard to the case, what did it reveal about your own decision making tendencies under pressure? How would you manage stress, urgency, and the different priorities, right? And the last is the application to real world context. So, how do these insights help you in your real world situations in your organization, or even in high pressure situations? Um, you don't have to write detailed answers. Renu has clearly given one page of 400 to 500 words, but just put your reflections into words and submit it to your mentor by the 21st of December. That's coming Sunday. I hope all of you are on track with your individual project. You're in progress because it is already, you already started since a week and we move on. It happens till January 7th. So please do focus on delivering it with optimum standard. I've already released dates for your individual project presentation. So please, if you have not blocked your calendars, 19th and 20th of January 2026 from 7:30 to 8:30 in the evening. Like I always say, post your reflections on the session that we have every week on your LinkedIn profile. Share your thoughts, appreciate our mentors and trainers on our Leap 3.0 LinkedIn page. I will share the feedback form in our group and also in Zoom chat, but please fill it as soon as possible, but latest by Sunday, 21st of December. Congratulations to all those of you who have received your level 3 badges from our Leap 3.0 chair Jyotika. But those of you who haven't, this is your reminder to regularize your November score ASAP and so that you receive your badges as early as possible. That's it from me. Back to you, distinguished Toastmaster Jyotika, for your closing remarks.
Thank you very much, Daryl. I really hope all of you are on track. It can get a bit overwhelming sometimes. Sometimes it can get a bit easy. The journey is always a mix of highs and lows. All we have to do is keep together, keep pushing yourself, keep motivating yourself, stay with your peers. Your mentors are always there to help you and support you. And this journey will finish in no time. But the journey of leadership continues. And therefore, it's essential that the 8 months that you're going to spend together will have to be fruitful and filled with commitment. With that being said, we will meet next week with the peer huddle and we will dive deep into this session to understand better on how to make decisions during crisis. Thank you very much. And with that, good night. Have a good sleep and stay safe. Good night. And I hereby adjourn this meeting.
Jyotika, with your permission, can I take one more minute?
Yes.
And show everybody, those who at least sent me the mandala art. You want to see creativity of Leap
Okay.
3.0?
Yes,
If you have a minute to spare, I'm going to share it with you. Just a second. Those of you not shared, you can share it even later and we'll see what can be done.
Jyotika, I would require 30 seconds after this just to show them the teaser.
Okay, sure.
That work?
Wow, this
Right,
is so
that was
good, Daryl.
that was creativity of Leap 3.0. So yeah, to those of you who shared, thank you.
Yeah, but then I think Daryl deserves a huge round of applause for putting it together in such a short time and presenting it in such a beautiful form. Thank you very much. And this is going to go on LinkedIn as well as the other social media channels. You can also share it. You know, I'm going to send mine also. All right. So put
Yes,
it.
yes. So those who have not shared, please do.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much, Daryl. And to all the mandala artists here, the experts, thank you very much. And over to you, Srihari.
Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, you all have been waiting for so long to understand where the venue is. Let me just show it to you in one quick short video. As promised, that was a short teaser because the big video is going to be made when all of you come down there. Registration links go live tonight at midnight, so keep your eyes open on the general chat servers of the Leap 3.0. You will find all the necessary details there. And with that, I think I can hand over the stage back to Jyotika for any other details to be filled out.
I've already closed the meeting, so thank you very much. You're all free to leave. Please do register. Let's get together. It's a great opportunity to spend some good time together, learning and enjoying. Thank you. Good night. Bye.
Thank you so
Thanks,
much.
everyone.